Hi, I'm Justin.
Also, I hate the way my voice sounds, so if you can do whatever Photoshop does to voices, make me sound awesome.
And this is my lovely friend,
The beauty in the eyes of the beholder, and it's just about getting into the seat of being the beholder.
Hayley.
I don't think you have to be particularly perceptive. I just think you have to look up.
This podcast is mostly just her telling me stories.
If you expose yourself to the possibility that this might be really awkward, there can be something just really cool on the other side of it.
She thinks that her life and way of looking at things are
Oh, I was kind of waiting on you. I thought you were getting your stuff ready. You're waiting on me?
pretty normal.
You got to edit out all the misinformation about the Amish.
Maybe you can relate.
I would like a chance to re-sing the Amish Paradise.
If you want lighthearted stories
All right, you want to talk about goats?
and stream of consciousness,
I just woke up and needed some friends, and so I bought them.
then you're gonna like the Sunny Side Up podcast.
Sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up.
So, if you're at all like me, you may feel that you're living in a world that can be a bit overwhelming and confusing at times. I'm also a huge fan of podcasts, documentaries, docudramas, stories, and of just information in general. Between all of that and the social media and news, sometimes our brains can feel like they're on overload. Hayley and I hope that this podcast can be something of an antidote to all of that. Like little jello shots of joy and distraction. None of it is too serious or really too informative. Mostly it's just two friends who have conversational chemistry talking about whatever enters the minds of relatively ADHD people. We hope you enjoy. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're casting at her because of her appearance.
Oh no, she was sly and stealthy and did end a peacock a few years before that. So we knew that it was in her.
There's a history of murder there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you let Foxy live with you and you still have chickens.
So yeah, no, she hasn't touched a single chicken this
Since
year
then.
or last year, but I also have a very healthy rooster to hen ratio. The only misstep we made this year, after the massacre and then Muffin passed from natural causes eventually, and so things were fine, but we got back into chickens and we did it more carefully this time, and it was all hens, and then we made a calculated decision to get a rooster. And by calculated decision, I mean the lady told me it was a hen, and I brought it home and it grew up to be a rooster. I wanted one of those really dark egg layers, a Moran, and so I drove a long way to get a Moran, and then I bring it home and it grows up to be a Mr. Moran.
Mr. Moran. God dang it.
And I was like, no big deal. And then another lady was selling me a hen, and it's just started laying. She's a really good hen, and she looked fancy. She was a frizzle, so she's got all these feathers dangling like an elegant lady going to a Russian ballet.
Yes.
And we bring her home, and we name her Maybelline because Katie said they have a really wholesome startup story. Like the guy who was starting the Maybelline factory, something to do with how much he loved his sister, and she was fixing up for dates or something. Like it was just a really nice story, and she told me at the time it meant something to me. I'm sorry I've forgotten all the details, but we named this gorgeous hen Maybelline, and then it got shortened to just Maybe because it began to demonstrate some rooster characteristics. Fun fact. Sometimes chickens will spontaneously change their sex.
That's not true.
Yup.
Frizzle?
Yes. Which, thank you, because it was a frizzle and rooster. But anyway.
Unintentionally.
So Maybelline is for sure a full-fledged rooster at this point, and we realized that. And we also found out later that a lot of frizzles tend to, the rooster ratio seems to be high with them, which probably has something to do with the temperature of the egg while they're being incubated. That is something that determines the sex of the egg, and such a big fuzzy chicken sitting on, I don't know what the science is exactly, but hotter eggs make more roosters, I think.
Wow.
There's something about that.
Okay.
I don't know how far that translates.
I wonder if that's because,
do men who wear bike shorts have males? The speed of this sperm.
I was going to say, too, in our world, women tend to be a little colder.
Natured as adults?
Yeah, women tend to run a little cooler than men.
Oh, I was talking about in
I know.
What,
I was just trying to decide.
What creates and what develops, and I'm pretty sure that the faster swimming sperm generate male babies.
Okay, so faster
perhaps.
and warmer.
because it's the sperm that determines the sex of a human child.
Right.
In the chicken, it's already inside of the egg, and I think it's the temperature of the egg that determines which of those
which one kind
sexual
of battles?
properties develop. Yeah, I think.
Fascinating. Yeah.
So we can look that up to be sure, but nonetheless, just like...
Wait, but I still got to go back on the chickens get to transgender. That's very... I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So, like, one of their ovaries gets damaged, and if... Okay, this is, again, where we need some Google, but I don't have the time to do it. But one of the ovaries is more dominant, and if it gets damaged, then they will kind of shift from hen to rooster, like scientifically develop more rooster type, like biologically develop more rooster type qualities, and that's from an injury. But if you just got a yard full of hens, in the absence of a rooster, one of the hens will
dominate.
I
knew that.
Even to the point of crowing.
Okay, but can't put like baby chicken juice.
That's right.
In its hen. Okay, how about the transitioning one? Can she to him, do they develop the male ability to inseminate a hen?
Do you want to pause this for a moment and we can
No,
Wikipedia
I don't want
this?
to. That's not this. When this train is rolling, Hayley, like we don't stop. This is a
Will you annotate it? Will you come back and annotate? Will you research this afterwards and come back and provide that information because it's important?
Doubtful. It's doubtful.
Well, then you're gonna have. It's gonna take me a while to read it. Like I gotta find the article, but. Damage to an ovary can cause a chicken to
at least have the characteristics. Okay.
And shift over. But that's not what happened with ours. Maybelline was just a guy. We just didn't know it. Yeah, she just sold us the wrong thing.
God dang it.
But what her motivation was she nefarious
did she lure
chicken
you
seller?
in there? Yeah. Because it's really the pretty female fluffy ones that are maybe more of the sellers. I would assume.
Yeah. Like roosters are the ones that become dumplings.
Right. And they rarely lay eggs. So I mean, okay. I like it.
A British couple was surprised to witness their pet hen, Gertie, transforming into a rooster. Chickens really can undergo natural sex changes. The first sign that something was afoot with Gertie was that she stopped laying eggs. Next, she began strutting around the garden, crowing like a rooster, and over the next week she put on weight, developed wattles beneath her chin, a feature normally exhibited only by males. She also grew dark plumage and scarlet coxcomb atop her head, both male traits. So sex reversals do in fact occur, just not frequently. They don't reverse, as far as we know.
Okay,
so it'll only happen once.
You better be sure you want to do this.
And it says that's because the mechanics of the biological phenomenon seem to work in only one direction. Normally, female chickens have just one functional ovary on their left side. Although two sex organs are present during the embryonic stages of all birds, once a chicken's female genes kick in, it typically develops only the left ovary. The right gonad, which has yet to be defined as an ovary, testes, or both, it's just called an ovotestis, typically remains dormant. Certain medical conditions, like an ovarian cyst, a tumor, a diseased adrenal gland, can cause the chicken's left ovary to regress. In the absence of a functional left ovary, the dormant right sex organ will begin to grow. And if it's activated, the right gonad is an ovotestis or testes, it will begin secreting androgens, which are the class of hormones responsible for male characteristics. So the production of androgen will cause the hen to undergo behavioral changes and those phenotypical changes, but it doesn't completely change into a rooster, so the transition is just limited to making it phenotypically male, meaning it will develop those characteristics, but she remains genetically female, so even though she's no longer laying eggs, she's not able to father any offspring either, so no to that.
Wow, the more you know.
I know, we should have been recording that.
We are.
Thank goodness.
Yes, and where did this come from? Let's credit them.
Oh, well.
Is it Wiki?
livescience.com.
Beautiful. Thank you, Live Science.
Mm-hmm. The more you know.
Hello, lovely friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And it would mean the world if you would tell other people about this podcast and maybe even spam your social media accounts with just how much you're enjoying it. If you are, of course. Also, commenting and rating us on whatever platform you're downloading or streaming from is incredibly helpful to a little startup podcast like this one. On the other hand, if you are dissatisfied with your listening experience, please leave all of that hate on someone else's podcast. Just maybe to confuse them a little bit, right? But most of all, we hope you keep looking up and looking for the sunny side of life.